Welcome. 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 So we are going to go ahead and get started in just a few minutes. As soon as we get some more people into our live. We have been having some technical difficulties today with YouTube, and hopefully everything is straightened out. So we are going to be talking about two of the spirits that are that have been attacking chosen ones since childhood. So ashy. Welcome. So we are going to go ahead and start our live so that we can get an understanding of these two types of spirits that have been following chosen ones since they were a child. So please make sure that you hit the like button as you come into this live, because it helps with the algorithm. And there was some technical difficulties with the first live that I started, the first couple of lives, and it would not let it go through. So finally this has come through, so I'll go and put up all of my information a little bit later on, as long as you have the title. So we are talking about the two spirits that have been following the chosen ones. And what we have to understand is that these types of entities that have been following the chosen ones have been the reasons for the chaos, for the upsets in your life. It has been the reasons that you have experienced a lot of rejection. So we understand this as a way in order to cleanse negative energy out of our lives. I have given you some of the cleansing methods. I will continue to give you some of the cleansing methods at the end of this live. We are running a little bit behind schedule, but no worries. So when you are dealing with these two evil spirits, and they are chaotic spirits, and this is the reason why, for the upsets. This is the reason why this entity doesn't want you to know how to stop it. So it will definitely attack this live. Okay, so we are cleansing this type of negative energy that has been attacking us since a child. And one of those spirits is the spirit called Baphomet. This is the spirit that secret societies use. It is the images that you will see with these secret societies and other images associated with Baphomet as the checkerboard floors, white and black, light and dark. Okay, yin and yang. It is the entity that sits between the balance. Okay, so this entity wants to upset any kind of goodness that you may have, any kind of understanding. It is an attack. It can be a violent attack up on you, given to you by parents who worship this type of entity. Instead of worshiping the devil, they will worship this type of entity. Okay, so this is the reason why I let you guys know that you have to have a spiritual cleansing method, because if this type of spirit has been attached to you by your parents, if it has been attached to you since you were a child, then in many cases you will attract that type of person to you, whether you are male or female. Okay, you will have that type of attack up on your relationships, where people want to come against you. They want to put you in fear so that they can enslave you and enslave your gifts. So this type of spirit will jump, and come after you all of your life. This type of spirit is meant to bring you into a low vibrational state. This is why you have to have a regular spiritual practice, a regular connection to God. This is why, again, you will not be able to use another God associated with God in order to remove this spirit out of your life. No matter how much you try to, say that it is done, no matter how much you try to say that spirit has been removed, that spirit will attach to your children as a generational curse, where people will bring them under alignment into the wrong way through fear, through belittling, and by violence, because this entity will do anything to maintain control of the body or the spirit. It especially will attack those men and women who are in relationships, because especially when the males have allowed an entity to enter. So I have been getting this download all weekend long, all day all week long, because I have to bring you this message, why we are in turmoil with the opposite sex in our life. Because, we have to make sure that we have a connection to God. The man that we fall in love with, the woman that we fall in love with, has a connection to God. Okay, without that connection, then this evil spirit is able to upset matters. There are people in your family that has dispatched this spirit to your relationship, to your life, and it has been following you. It has been a hired spirit that has attached to you, and when it is attached to a chosen one, then they become upset. When anyone can outdo them, they will become in competition with the persons that's in their life. They will become very jealous of that person. That person cannot go to work in peace without being, attacked by the person that's in their life with jealousy. You're with somebody. You're sleeping with someone on the job. This type of spirit will come against you in your life as an evil, chaotic spirit with violence, with rage, and usually it is associated with psychopaths. It is associated with narcissists. And so we have this type of negative entity that has been dispatched to our lives, usually hired by someone that is jealous of your gifts, jealous of your abilities, that they have not been able to siphon your energy as a child. And they have sent these types of entities into your life in order to be attached to you, so that you will be, easily swayed by different kinds of people. You want to be like the people, the rappers. You want to be like those women, who are rappers, those entertainers who take off their clothes. You will start engaging in, other things that are against the spiritual nature of God. Okay. So this is the understanding. So let's read a little bit about Baphomet. And this is a very, this is a very nasty type of spirit, that will carry multiple spirits, into your life if this spirit is not cleansed. So we have the spiritual attacks caused by Baphomet. Baphomet is frequently interpreted in spiritual, Christian, and exorcism context as a demonic entity or high-ranking demon. And this is why you cannot associate anything with God when you are cleansing this type of negative energy. And this is what I know to be factual. Okay. Rather than merely an occult symbol, okay, it's causing spiritual attacks rather than merely an occult symbol. These attacks are characterized by manipulation, fostering obsession with base desires, and causing spiritual, mental, and physical torments. So this spirit is also attached with mental illness. Okay, so when we're talking about violence, when we're talking about, those men that were back in the day whom this spirit had been dispatched to with our mothers, this spirit can be attached to anyone, but this spirit has been attached to the men with our mothers, where these men were becoming physical and violent. They were having mental attacks because of, their inability to compete in society. Okay, so if they can't compete in society, then who are they going to, compete with? They're going to compete. They're going to break the balance in the home. They're going to compete with the women. So this is why you have to break this. This is a very serious. You have to break this type of negative demonic energy that is attached to the leadership. So that, this entity does not go over in violence, mental illness, as a generational curse. So, and these are signs of an attack from Baphomet. Signs of an attack, indicators of such attacks include intense lack of motivation for spiritual practice, prayer, and reading. That's what I was just saying to you. You have to have a connection to God in order to break this, and it cannot be something that you have learned from the ancients, that they have taken from the colonizers. You have to do the spiritual cleansing. You have to do the work. Excuse me. And you have to find out what has been going on. Why are these spirits attached to your family bloodline, your lineage? They're in your life as a generational curse. Okay, so and it's longing for the past. Wanting to be like the ancients, wanting to do things like your mothers and fathers that has not worked for them. Okay, so when we're talking about the signs that you have a demonic spirit called Baphomet attached to you, okay, then your spiritual man, your spiritual leadership, the belief in God is supposed to be immaculate, impenetrable. Okay, so we are having these types of understandings in our lives, that some of these negative entities have been dispatched to us, have been attached and hired by our parents. Okay, so we want to make sure that that's just one of the evil spirits that has been attached to us as children, and we can get rid of this with a spiritual cleansing method, a spiritual cleansing ritual. So we also understand that, again, longing for the past, sinful lifestyles, doubt in divine guidance, and experiencing perverted or demonic dreams. Okay? So when you're having these types of attacks upon you, when you are having these types of attacks that were up on your lineage and passed down from generation to generation, you will have this overwhelming event, to do things like the past, to disregard spiritual matters, to disregard these types of, you will just brush them off. Oh, this is just what's been happening. Okay. You will not listen, and this will overtake you, and you will be stuck as a sacrifice, enslaved to this spirit. And you will try to, enslave other people, because if you can't move forward, then this spirit will make you not want to see other people move forward in life. It will make you, in competition with your brother, with your wife. It will make you in competition with people on your job, because you have a negative spirit attached to you that you cannot, break out of. You cannot strike the balance, because you do not have a spiritual healing connection to God, a spiritual ritual connection to God. All things come from God. It's very simple. This is very simple. And so this is why I like to say to you that, I'm very lenient. I'm very lenient on you guys, because there's nothing wrong with the holy books. There's nothing wrong with the holy books. It is the way that these entities have given the interpretation that has been, distorted. That has been distorted. Whether, they created a New Testament or not, whether they took out books or not from the holy word of God. It is the way that they have interpreted, where you can come into the house of God any kind of way, and you cannot. And you simply cannot. See, this is the Leviathan spirit, like I said, that is attached to these people who have demonic attachment, who has allowed the demonic to grow on earth, in our homes, in our practices, in our churches, in the synagogues, in the masjids. These are the types of spirits that are allowed to move forward in our lives, because they have not taught the right way. They have taught that, you can only scream at it, plead the blood of Jesus. You can only do certain things, when they are supposed to have priests inside of these places to remove this negative energy, and only priests that God has blessed with that type of understanding, that type of knowledge, in order to cleanse the soul of these type of demonic spirits that have been attached, that have been hired by people, by practitioners. Okay, so this is what they don't tell you. You're not going to get this anywhere else. You're not going to get this anywhere else. You're not going to get this from the Christian church, because it's not just supposed to be the preacher in the pulpit. Just like when people are speaking in tongue in the pulpit, they're not supposed to be speaking in tongue without somebody to interpret it. They're not supposed to be in the pulpit, and somebody break out with the style with a demon attached. They done preach that demon to the top of their hearts and mind, and now you have to have somebody there to cast it out. It's very simple. It's very simple. So, it's not that I want to change anyone's way, but I'm letting you know that, our parents were going through the things that they were going to. Our mothers were going through these things that they were going through, because they were looking for the relief. And the relief has already been in the books. It's just the way that they've interpreted. Okay, so let's move on to the second spirit, the second evil spirit. And this is one of the most malevolent spirits of all. It is Azazel. Azazel is an evil spirit. It jumps bodies. You have to have a spiritual connection to God in order to keep this spirit from driving you crazy. This spirit will start in patterns with other people where they left off. This spirit is the spirit of psychic attacks, mental health. It is lack. It is an enslaving spirit that wants to take your life away from you, although you are still physically able to do what you can do. You're still able to go to work. You're still able to have children. But this spirit has entered your body. It has entered your family. And you have started to see patterns plague your life. You have started to see this spirit say the same things over and over again. You have to watch those imams, those ministers, those priests that repeat themselves over and over again. They cannot move forward into another type of, holy word. They don't have a holy word that they can, give you in the church, in the homes. They cannot cast out anything. They do not create anything new. They say the same thing over and over again. You have to watch those types of people, those types of priests, those types of pastors, because they have this spirit attached. Azazel will jump bodies. This entity can also, is associated with animals. It can go into animals. And that is where you will get those monitoring spirits from animals as well. Okay? Because there is a spirit attached. Okay? Now we're gonna see what the this spirit is in the holy book. It's in the Holy Bible, so I have to make sure that you understand what we are talking about. And I didn't want to give it away, because a lot of the content creators have been talking about, this type of spirit, but they have been calling it by the name that the Holy Bible gives. So, just give me a moment to pull this type of spirit up, because, it's going to blow your mind. Yeah, so, we are having an understanding that this type of spirit, and it is really diabolical, that this spirit jumps bodies. It can jump into animals. It can go into the forest. And with that being said, we're going to talk about this spirit Azazel is a mysterious term in the Bible. In the Bible. So I'm not making this up. It is Leviticus 16, specifically referencing a scapegoat. And now you're going to get the understanding. This is the knowledge that I have already, that you're not going to be able to break. This spirit is very old. It's very old. And you have to know how to be able to break this spirit. You have to be experienced at breaking these types of, these spirits, very powerful spirits. Okay, so we're talking about Azazel. Is a very mysterious term in the Bible. Leviticus 16, specifically referencing a scapegoat. Ritual on Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement. During this ritual, one goat is sacrificed to Yahweh, while a second goat designated for Azazel is sent into the wilderness, carrying the symbolic sins of the nation. So what they're actually saying is the scapegoat is allowed to go free, but they've dumped all their evil off on this one goat. They've sent a negative spirit, to take the evil off of the nation, to take the evil off of the family, and they've attached all of their evil demons to this scapegoat. So this is why you have to have a spiritual connection. And I cannot say this enough. I do not apologize for what God has given to me in the knowledge to relate to you. Why you have to have a specific ritual, and the way that you have to pray in these rituals is the way that God has given the prophets. I cannot change that, no matter how much you may dislike it, but we have to make sure that we're understanding what we are seeing here. We're seeing that you're using things and you're understanding things that can be removed. You're understanding that you have been the scapegoat. You're understanding that other people in your family has been the scapegoat. But you're unable to remove those hardships, those burdens off of you. This entity, again, is meant to drive you crazy, because as soon as you stop fighting one fire, another one breaks out in your life, because that type of trauma bond has been transferred to your life. Okay, and only a priest that God has sent to anoint you, to remove this type of negative energy, to relieve these types of spirits out of your life, can be removed. If you are using the spirits that your parents have given you, you will have problems in your life. You will have problems with your children, obedience to you. You will have problems unless you are starting from a point where I need to cleanse this negative energy. This entity cannot, follow me anymore. And I understand that a lot of you want me to align with what you know. And I have aligned with, the Holy Bible, because I read the Holy Bible. And there is a lot of ways that you can break these spirits out of your life. But, the thing is that this spirit wants you to receive lies so that you can feel good about not being able to remove these spirits and operating in these spirits with your children throughout your life. Okay? So in, I think it's Isaiah 65:5, I remember my mother saying to me, and we're talking about the spirit of Azazel here. I remember my mother saying to me, lion stinks in my nostrils. So I didn't understand what she was saying at that time, because, if I was allowed to go, to the arcade, if I was allowed, my brother and I was going to get me some comic books and read them. And she was like, did you spend all your money? And I was like, no, ma'am. And she was like, well, let me see your money. And I'm like, I can't. I dropped it. I lost it. And and she said, lion stinks in my nostrils. Okay, so I thought I could get away from, those types of sayings that made me feel bad. Okay, and this is from the Holy Bible. I didn't know it when I was little, but when my mom sent me away, when she sent me away to the country, to my great aunt, to her aunt, and my aunt said, hi Oracle, did you take some of that peach cobbler? Did you, I got peach cobbler all on my mouth, it's on my shirt. And I said, no ma'am, I did not. And my aunt looked at me and she said, lion stinks in my nostrils. So we will have these spirits that, body jump. We will have these spirits that, enter other people in order to, make us mad and able for us to be in competition with other people. Although we do not, possess the knowledge that this person encompasses. So we have to do our studying when we're seeing different types of cycles. For us that are spiritual healers, we can look at the person, we can look at the situation, we can take the physical notes that you're giving us, what's been going on in your life, and let you know that you have one or both of these entities attached to you or your lineage. And then we start digging some more with you. What was your mother doing? Was she into some kind of spiritual practice? What was, your father doing? Was he in a secret society? Did he, was he one of those people who had an attachment to him as a child? Okay. So in this understanding, when we understand that we're having people that are being born, we're having people in our life that are under attack, that are being attacked with violence. It is not by coincidence. It is not. It is an entity that has been hired and dispatched, or it could be one that is born into the lineage because of people worshiping the wrong thing, people being in Eastern stars in secret societies, okay, or Masons, doing things that they should not, with the goat. Baphomet is also known as one of those spirits associated with the goat. It's also associated with different types of tattoos. Okay? So you have to know this type of knowledge in order to break certain spirits. These spirits can harm you. It can harm your life. It can harm your mind. It can harm your health if left unchecked. It can harm your children because it definitely looks for someone to feed. It definitely looks for someone to show itself to, so that it can take your mind, because you're going to keep fighting. You're going to keep trying to put out these wars, not understanding that you cannot fight this with the natural physical world. This is a spiritual war. And I hope that you receive this message. So we have this understanding. Okay, now we're going to go into how we're cleansing this. We're going to go in how we're cleansing this. Okay, because I have given you guys some of the ways to cleanse this type of negative energy. It doesn't matter if you like, what I'm saying to you. What matters is God has given me the truth, and I have relayed the truth to you. And so that's the first start of cleansing this type of attack upon you, is to be able to accept the truth, because only God guides to whether you will accept the truth or not. It's not for me to guide you. So I'm going to give you the cleansing methods that I have been given to my clients, and I really appreciate all of your support. And I'm running a little bit behind because we had these these problems with YouTube, but we got it together today. So I have been giving them the hawthorn. You want to use that to remove negative energy from your life. You want to use the hawthorn to expose those higher spirits, those negative entities, who they are associated with, who has who has your spirit, your energy, your financial energy, your health energy, your mental capacity. Because sometimes these people who have hired these two spirits, they will associate you or want you to be like your parents, so that they can attach these negative entities to you, so they can bring you into enslavement, where you're worshiping them, where you fear them. They want to bring you into this type of enslavement of your gifts, so that they can say, oh, they're just like their parents. I told you so. They're crazy. Oh, they have mentally challenges. They're slow. They want to be able to put you on drugs. They want to put you on, medicine, so that they can control you, so that they can control your financial gifts. Okay? All of these types of entities that I have mentioned today will be exposed by using the hawthorn. Okay? Some of the other ones that I have been giving you, I want to tell you, I hope that you're doing the full moon cleanse. I hope that you're doing it, because these spirits are going to be cleansed out of your space. They're going to be cleansed out of your space, out of the air. Those air spirits, those spirits that like to jump bodies, that have been following you since you were a child. Azazel, Baphomet. You're going to use the frankincense and myrrh. Those spirits that, like to jump into animals in the wilderness. Azazel. Those earth animals, birds that show up, that's listening to your conversation. Those cats, those rats that have been entering into your life all your life. All you can remember is being in the projects and seeing rats. Okay, now just to look at you. This is an evil spirit that is monitoring you. Okay, so we are going to cleanse this type of negative energy, with the black seeds, the black mustard seed. Okay, to get rid of those monitoring neighbors, those people in your family that want to see you under them, that's trying to dump spirits off and make you the scapegoat. Azazel. So that they dump the spirits off, and you take that right on into your family. You take that behavior right on to your children, and you never try to cleanse it. Okay? We want to make sure that you understand where these terms come from. They come from the holy books. Where these spirits come from, they come from the holy books. And the only way that you can cleanse it is to have a spiritual ritual. You have to be able to pray with these rituals. And Baphomet doesn't want you to pray. It doesn't want you to hear what someone is saying to you. It shuts off your heart and your mind. That is why I always cleanse the heart. The hawthorn will help you to remove any kind of blockages from your heart. It will help you to remove any kind of sense of loss. If you've lost children, if you have lost, your mother, your father, people have passed and you're connected to these people, it will help you cleanse your heart from that sense of grief. Okay? And so I've been talking to my people about this, since yesterday, but I wanted to give you over here because you're a little bit more advanced here on YouTube. I got to break it down to my other brothers and sisters, and they'll come over here and get it from YouTube. These spirits are in the holy books, and I want you to be able to understand. If you do not have spiritual authority like Aaron and Moses, you will not be able to remove it. If you do not have the seal of God up on you to remove these types of entities that have plagued your mother and father, that have tricked your mother and father, you will not be able to remove it. So this is why I say the only way that we can attack these evil spirits that you have been put in fear as a child from your parents, the ones who were supposed to protect you. If you have been put in fear and beat down as women, incest, rape, molestation, this is what I'm telling you. You have to be able to pray and have a sincere prayer life with God, and have the cleansing rituals. Understand the cleansing rituals, know how to implement them in your life, and know how to implement them in your children's lives when you see these generational curses and these patterns. Okay, so this is how we are cleansing. Some of you may just have, your parents have just dispatched negative entities to your relationships, your love life, so that you end in divorce every time you get a relationship, where you can't get pregnant. There are different cleanses for this, but I'm recommending the rose water. I'm recommending that you use the patchouli for these types of entities. Patchouli gets rid of negative energy. You can also use as a sprinkle the rose water, just like you can do for the enemies with the black mustard seeds. You can also use the brown mustard seeds. All of these are cleanses. All of these are cleanses for negative entities if you can pray. If you cannot pray, please reach out to me so that I can cleanse these negative energies, and I can bring you a prayer and show you the ways of the apostles and the priests in the holy books, that you can pray against these types of entities so that we can break them off of your life. Okay, so that you can move forward and see those people in your family, those people in your life that has dispatched those types of negative entities to you. Okay, this is where we get off at over here on YouTube. I appreciate all of you, and I hope that you have received this message from me. I hope that you continue to pray, to fast. I hope that you continue to prostrate. You can reach out to me for the Bible verses. As long as you're praying in a specific way, it will definitely work for you. You can reach out to me. A lot of the Muslims already know, what I'm saying. You can reach out to me for specific, Quran verses, so that these rituals will work for you. These are cleansing rituals. These are not something that practitioners will know about. Practitioners do not read the Bible in depth in order to give you what kind of spirit is attached to you. Only priests and only, spiritual healers can do that, okay? I've known, a lot of the Rockies that I had, been watching over a time. They will tell you what kind of evil spirit is attached to you, and some of them have to be removed from the blood, okay, the bloodline. Okay, so I just wanted to give you this so that you will have this understanding. These negative entities try to interrupt our life on 3 times. The third time is a charm. It doesn't matter. We're going to get this word out. And I got plenty of more things coming for you, this year, in the coming weeks. And I appreciate all of your support. I think this is the longest, the longest live that I've ever done. Please hit the like button. I really appreciate all of you guys. I hope that you received this message. Please like, share, and subscribe to me. You can also book your consultations at www.highoracle.com so that I can acclimate a gift to your situation if you feel like, you are being oppressed by any of the spirits that we have talked about in the last couple of weeks. Continue to pray. Continue to pray as much as you can in order to stop this type of entity from moving forward in your life and in your children's lives. I'm High Oracle, Reiki spiritual healer. Assalamu alaikum. So it does want to, okay, there we go. Doesn't want to stop.